Hi, I'm Les Miller, and this is why I stayed in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I'm just going over some notes here for a video I'll be making soon, my next project, going to be called The SDA Sanctuary Doctrine Where's the Proof? Another one in the playlist of the videos answering the critics of Adventism. If you've noticed in your own searches around the internet and YouTube especially, there have been a lot of anti-Adventist criticisms out there. I'll just turn this off here. So what that video is going to be doing is not going through the standard line of reasoning most Adventists use to try to prove the sanctuary, but we'll instead be looking at some other verses in the Bible and seeing whether or not they have anything to say about this one doctrine that separates us from the rest of Protestant evangelical Christianity. Now, in going over this and in thinking about the last few videos I've made, a realization that a lot of people probably have already come to, that I've been talking about, and I just want to approach it from a different angle today so I don't become a broken record. But Adventism, a lot of it is about big picture theology. We're always talking, especially in our prophecy seminars, about all of world history and how Christ is working in every generation, and our generation is just as much a part of it. I was just doing a devotional this morning on Stephen's speech in the book of Acts, and realizing that's what he was trying to do, was give some sort of overview. Then he had to, of course, do a quick wrap-up because they were about to stone him to death because they didn't want to hear what he was trying to say. But he made a connection between this long list of those who rejected God and the people who were about to stone him. Adventists, in some way, essentially are repeating Stephen's speech with their theology. But I want to say, again, you'll see a lot of videos, people saying why I left the Seventh-day Adventist Church, why you should leave the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And I'm hoping that people who might want to watch those videos will also watch this one, because there is a reason why I did stay. With all this big picture theology, as I've mentioned in a few other videos recently, and we'll be mentioning again in this next video, sometimes we don't do the best job helping people understand the connection between the big picture and its application to one's own individual life that each of us are living. That basically is my testimony. I never fully realized it till I was working on the notes for this upcoming video. But I was given, may sound stupid, but a small version of the big picture. And then over the course of my faith, as I've journeyed with the Lord, I've been given that same big picture over and over and over again, constantly taken to the next level. I'm going to sum up a few things that are in my testimony video. I'll put a link on the end screen to where it is located on one of my other channels, Mr. Les. It's there in one piece. It's called Why I'm a Seventh-day Adventist and Not an Evangelical. Here on Les Millman, it's in 4 parts. It's one of the first, if not the first, videos I ever uploaded, and I think it's called The Real Truth About Seventh-day Adventism. Bit of a sound issue at one point from my friend who was recording that sermon back from 2008, so I apologize for that, but if you'd like to watch the whole thing, it will greatly enhance what I'm trying to say today. But when I had the Bible studies that brought me in to the Adventist Church, my pastor, really my wife's pastor, and her and I, first thing we did, we studied the Trinity. This was more than a study. This was an experience. I was bringing my heart to God every week. And as I prayed and as I saw all these Bible verses presented to me and the way they were explained, I suddenly saw a whole new level, a level that I had never seen growing up in the nominal Christian church that I went to, or with the Baptists and Pentecostals that I interacted with in my teens and early 20s. That particular set of studies on the Trinity was talking about how each of the three members of the Trinity were playing different roles in their efforts to save all the world. Now, after those studies, what we studied next was creation. And we took it from the focus of how Christ played an active role in the creation of this planet with the Father and Spirit, and on how that applied to me as an individual. And that's where the transition became. All this summation of this big picture theme suddenly started to become real in my own life. After that, we studied about confessing our sins, forgiving our sins, justification, sanctification. Then we went into the Ten Commandments in some very detailed study on the difference between God's moral law, spoken on Mount Sinai, and God's ceremonial law, dictated to Moses to write down and put in a special pocket on the side of the ark instead of in the ark with the Ten Commandments. Serious difference. It's after that Sabbath, truth about death, health, everything else came out of it. So it was a very deep, intense, personal experience. And I remember making this, shall we say, great confession to this particular pastor of what some of my biggest, deepest, darkest secrets were, the sins that I felt the worst about, that I wanted to be forgiven the most of. And I remember his encouraging words that Christ will give me victory. And I want to tell you, plainly and clearly, as I stumble across my words with shame and discomfort, I have not perfectly followed Jesus from the day of my baptism forward. If you watch my video on Ellen White plagiarism and the real reasons why people leave the Adventist church, and then think about all the anti-Adventist stuff that's out there, you'll see that what I've said there is correct in my video. People leave because they let the human beings drive them away, or they face a crisis of faith within themselves, realizing they can't live up to this Adventist message. And many, many times, I have said in Sabbath school, I have said to myself, struggling with a temptation of some sort, I may be the biggest hypocrite in the entire world. I may be the worst Seventh-day Adventist in the entire world, but I am not leaving. I found Jesus in the Seventh-day Adventist church. If you had someone who was acting like a legalist in your mind, who was an Adventist, and that turned you off of Seventh-day Adventism, I want to tell you plainly and clearly, I found the love of Jesus in Seventh-day Adventism, and you can too. It is here. And that love of Jesus is what keeping the Sabbath is all about, what believing the truth about death and the sanctuary and Ellen White as a prophet is all about. It's there. I found it, you can have it too. As I'm making this video, this is a Sabbath morning. I'm going to be getting to church right on time, and I'll have to clean up all my lights set up and everything else here after I get back. But as I walk to church, I'm going to do the same thing every week that I do. I will be praying, Lord, it's not about me. I'm not going to church to put on a show. I'm not good enough, but you are. You can make me good enough. You can make me better. And I'm going to church because I want you to make me better. The Seventh-day Adventist Church is not a church of legalism, despite what you're being told by evangelicals who don't want to keep the Sabbath, who want to stay with Sunday and are playing games with words to do it. The Seventh-day Adventist Church is a church of true Christian faith, a practical faith that applies in everyday life, 6 days a week and on the seventh day. May God bless you.